Have you ever wondered why your paycheck never ever feels bigger? So you work 50 hours a week. You got that promotion you've been chasing. Your salary jumped from $60,000 to $80,000. You should feel rich, right? But somehow, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. You're still stressed about money. That $100,000 savings goal feels just as impossible as it did before the raise. Here's what nobody tells you. There are three economic forces working against you right now. They're designed to keep early wealth accumulation as hard as possible. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended, just not for you. This is the financial illusion that traps millions of people. You think you're making progress, but you're actually falling further behind. It's time to learn how your paycheck never ever feels bigger and what you can do about it. Have you ever heard of the compound interest paradox? Compound interest gets called the eighth wonder of the world. Einstein supposedly said it's the most powerful force in the universe. But here's what they don't mention in those inspirational quotes. Compound interest is absolutely brutal when you're starting out. Think about building a snowball. At the beginning, you're doing all the work. You're rolling that tiny ball around in the snow, picking up a few flakes at a time. Your back is breaking. Your hands are freezing. The snowball is still pathetically small after 20 minutes of hard work. But once that snowball gets big enough, it starts rolling downhill on its own. Suddenly, it's picking up massive amounts of snow with every rotation. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows. Eventually, you're just watching this monster snowball do all the work while you walk behind it. Compound interest works the exact same way. You're in the manual labor phase right now. Let's look at the actual math. If you invest $1,000 at 7% annual returns, the market gives you $70 after 1 year. $70! That's not even a nice dinner. You could find more money in your couch cushions. But if you had $100,000 invested at that same 7%, you'd make $7,000 in year one. $7,000. That's a decent used car. That's 3 months of rent for some people. Here's the cruel part. The person with $100,000 didn't work any harder than you did. They didn't pick better stocks. They didn't time the market perfectly. They just had more money to start with. This creates what I call the wealth accumulation gap. Early investors do the most work for the least reward. You're contributing $2,000 a month from your paycheck, watching your account grow by pennies, while someone who started 20 years ago is making your entire monthly contribution just from returns. It's like showing up to a race where some people get to start at the finish line while you're crawling through mud at the starting gate. Then everyone acts surprised when you get discouraged. The math gets even more depressing when you factor in time. That's $70 you earned in year one. In year two, it earns its own returns. But $70 earning 7% is about $5. $5 in additional returns for having money invested for 2 full years. Meanwhile, that person with $100,000 sees their $7,000 in returns generate another $490 in year two. Their money is making more money in 1 year than your money will make in a decade. This is why financial advisors always talk about starting early. It's not because they want to help you, it's because they know the math is rigged against beginners. The longer you wait, the more manual labor you'll have to do. But compound interest isn't the only force working against you. Let me tell you about the triple threat system that works against your paycheck. There are 2 other forces working against you and your paycheck, and when they combine with compound interest, they create what I call the triple threat system. These 3 forces work together to move the goalpost every time you think you're getting close. The first threat is lifestyle creep. This is the silent killer of wealth building, and it happens to almost everyone who gets a raise. Lifestyle creep is a paycheck killer. Here's how it works. Your income rises in a straight line, but your lifestyle costs rise exponentially. You get that $20,000 raise, and suddenly, you deserve a better apartment, You deserve a nicer car. You deserve to eat out more often because you're working so hard. The psychology is brutal. You tell yourself you've earned these upgrades. You have more money now, so why shouldn't you spend it? The problem is that lifestyle improvements don't scale linearly with income increases. Let's say you're making $60,000 and living in a decent one-bedroom apartment for $1,500 a month. You get promoted and now you're making $80,000. That extra $20,000 feels like a fortune. So you upgrade to a nicer place. Maybe it's got better amenities, a gym, a doorman. Now you're paying $2,500 a month. That's an extra $1,000 monthly or $12,000 annually. Your raise just got cut in half before you even considered taxes. But it doesn't stop there. The nicer apartment is in a better neighborhood, so now you're eating at more expensive restaurants. Your friends in this area have more money, so the social activities cost more. You need nicer clothes to fit in with your new income bracket. Before you know it, that $20,000 raise is completely absorbed by lifestyle inflation. You're making more money, but saving the exact same amount as before. Sometimes you're actually saving less because the lifestyle creep compounds. This is exactly the same as running uphill while the hill gets steeper. You're working harder, your legs are burning, but you're not actually getting anywhere faster. The second threat is tax drag. When you get that raise from $60,000 to $80,000, you don't actually get to keep $20,000 more dollars. The government takes their cut first, and that cut gets bigger as you earn more. Let's do the math. At $60,000, you're probably in the 22% federal tax bracket, plus state taxes, plus Social Security and Medicare taxes. You're looking at roughly 30% going to taxes, so you keep about $42,000 after taxes. At $80,000, you're still in that 22% bracket, but more of your income is getting taxed at that higher rate. Plus, you might bump into the next bracket depending on your state. Now you're keeping about $56,000 after taxes. So that $20,000 raise, you actually only get to keep about $14,000 of it. The government just took $6,000 of your raise before you even saw it. But wait, it gets worse. The third threat is inflation erosion. Today's $100,000 isn't the same as yesterday's $100,000 in purchasing power. Inflation averages about 3% annually over the long term. That means every year your money buys 3% less stuff than it did the year before. It's like having someone slowly drain your bank account while you sleep. Here's where it gets really nasty. These three forces work together to create a moving target. You think you need $100,000 saved to feel financially secure. But by the time you actually save that money, inflation has eroded its purchasing power. What used to cost $100,000 now costs $120,000. Meanwhile, lifestyle creep has convinced you that your old definition of financial security isn't good enough anymore. You used to think a modest emergency fund was enough, but now that you're making more money, you think you need a bigger safety net to maintain your upgraded lifestyle. And tax drag means you need to earn even more gross income to save the same amount after taxes. If you want to save $20,000 annually, you might need to earn $30,000 in gross income to account for taxes. It's like playing a video game where the boss gets stronger every time you level up. Just when you think you're making progress, the game adjusts to make it harder.
The real target isn't $100,000. It's not even close to that simple. If you want the purchasing power of $100,000 in today's money, you need to account for taxes and inflation over the time it takes you to save it. Depending on how long your savings timeline is, you might need to accumulate $150,000 or more in actual savings to have the equivalent buying power. But here's the thing. Focusing on arbitrary round numbers is exactly the wrong approach. The magic isn't in hitting $100,000. The magic is in reaching the flip point, where compound interest finally starts working for you instead of against you. That flip point happens when your investment returns start generating meaningful money. That's when your money makes enough money that you notice it in your daily life. For most people, that's somewhere between $75,000 and $150,000 invested, depending on market returns and your cost of living. Once you hit that flip point, the snowball effect kicks in. Your money starts doing more of the work and you can ease up on the manual labor phase. But getting to that flip point requires beating the triple threat system. Here's a three-step system that actually works. First, automate your savings before lifestyle creep kicks in. The moment you get a raise, immediately increase your automatic transfers to savings and investments. Don't give yourself time to adjust your lifestyle to the new income level. If you get a $2,000 monthly raise, automatically save at least 1,000 of it before you even see it in your checking account. Second, eliminate high-interest debt as fast as possible. Credit card debt at 20% interest will destroy any progress you make with investing. You can't build wealth while paying someone else 20% annually for the privilege of borrowing money. This isn't about being debt-free entirely, it's about eliminating the debt that's actively working against you. Finally, understand the timeline. Building wealth isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with a really brutal first half. Most people quit during the manual labor phase because they don't see dramatic results immediately. But if you can stick with it through the compound interest paradox, the math eventually flips in your favor. The goal isn't to accumulate some arbitrary number. The goal is to generate enough cash flow from your investments that it meaningfully impacts your life. Maybe that's $500 a month in investment returns that covers your groceries. Maybe it's $2,000 a month that covers your rent. Focus on cash flow generation, not net worth milestones. When your investments are generating real money that you can use for real expenses, that's when you know the system is finally working for you instead of against you. Here's what most people get wrong. They think hitting $100,000 in savings means they're wealthy. It doesn't. It means they've proven they can build wealth. There's a huge difference. The first $100,000 proves you understand how money works. It proves you can beat the triple threat system. It proves you have the discipline to delay gratification and the knowledge to make your money work for you. But it's not the destination. It's the point where the math starts working in your favor instead of against you. So here's the key takeaway. $100,000 isn't the destination. It's when the math finally starts working for you instead of against you. The triple threat system of lifestyle creep, tax drag, and inflation erosion is designed to keep you running in place. But once you understand how these forces work, you can beat them. If you want more straightforward explanations of how money actually works, hit that subscribe button. Next week, I'm breaking down the wealth-building systems that rich people use to accelerate past that flip point.